Last video of the day. This video is about the surveillance scrapbook assignment. Now that sounds kind of cheesy. Also, side note, Jerome's snoring like crazy right now. I'm going to try to nudge him. Come on, wake up, buddy. So he's not super loud. But he is there snoring, so that's what you hear in the background. But okay, anyway, so this is a surveillance scrapbook assignment. This one is due at the very, very end of the semester. We do not have a final exam. This assignment is the final requirement for our course. And as you might know, the spring semester ends on a Saturday. Even though all of the previous assignments are due on Sundays, this specific assignment will be due on a Saturday. So it's due Saturday, June 30th on Canvas by midnight. Same as all the other assignments, by midnight on Canvas, that sort of thing. You have a couple different things that you're going to need to do for this assignment, and I'll go through these in this video. But you do have something that you do have to write up. It's an analytical reflection, and that's about 1,000 to 1,250 words. This is 16% of your final grade, and you need 20 sources. Now, that sounds crazy, but I'm going to go through those very carefully in just a minute. But you need 4 for each theme, and there are themes that are listed in the assignment. And just like the Panopticon film analysis and all the assignments that you have throughout the semester, okay, come on, Snorri McSnore. That's enough, little guy. They're all listed in assignments, they're in the modules, they're in the files tab, so there are multiple different places you can find these different assignments. And I'm just reading from the assignment description. Okay, so let's see. What's the assignment checklist? I have a little checklist here. I'm a checklist type of person, so I like having a checklist of things that I need to do, especially for a larger assignment, kind of like this one. So the first thing you'll need to do is sign up for a site or create a new page. And this will be, and I'll talk about what I mean by that in a second, but this will be referred to as your scrapbook. And this is all going to be digital. It's nothing that you have to actually cut out and put cute little stamps and stuff. No, you don't need to do that. This is all digital stuff. You're going to post your link on Canvas, which is on the surveillance scrapbook on pages. I didn't, I had an arrow there, but it says pages, surveillance scrapbook link. It should be pages to surveillance scrapbook links. And then you're going to find 4 links for each of the following themes. And then for the rest of the assignment description, these are going to be referred to as artifacts. So these are the themes that we're talking about. Ethics, something that explores the concepts of right and wrong with surveillance. Performance, something that discusses how people act differently when they're watched. Politics, something that discusses surveillance as a political issue. Identity, something that discusses how surveillance affects self, individuality, or personhood. Technology, something that discusses the role of technology in surveillance. And then your final thing will be to write the analytical reflection. So that's your checklist. So let's go through the assignment details. I'm nudging the puppy again because he's pretty loud. All right, throughout the semester, you'll collect cultural artifacts from contemporary media sources and assemble a scrapbook using Storify. And I should say, I have Storify up here, but when I checked it just to double check to make sure it was still available for this assignment, it's not. So ignore Storify. I will edit that in a few minutes. So don't use Storify. That's not a thing anymore. So use that was a big snore. Tumblr, WordPress, or another blogging platform that allows you to incorporate text and media. The goal of this assignment is to understand how the topics we read about and discuss throughout the semester are well represented every day. So your first task is to sign up for and/or create a new page using one of the sites listed above. You'll be updating the site throughout the semester, so please be sure you're comfortable with the site you choose. Please use this site or page only for this assignment. So don't use your personal Tumblr. I don't want to see it, and I'm sure you don't want me to see it either. Start a new one that you'll use only for this assignment. I don't care what you call it. You can name it whatever. Totally fine, but just get a brand new one just for this assignment. Same with a WordPress page. Don't intermix it with anything else that you have, personal. Make sure you do get a different, separate page for this specific assignment. If you need help signing up for one of these sites, please let me know and I'll be happy to help. If you have questions, we can email, we can chat. If you want to Skype through it or whatever, or I can send you a link to a how-to video, whatever you want. I'm happy to help you with that. Okay, so once you set up your page, you'll need to post a link to it on Canvas. Go to Pages, click on Scrapbook Links, and if you go on the assignment page, it's actually linked there, so you just have to click it and it'll take you right there. then click Edit. Once you're in edit mode, type your name and post the link. For example, if I were posting my link, it would look like this. Kim Lacey, sample link. This will make it easy for me to access your scrapbooks on one page and for our class to peruse each other's scrapbooks. I might, at different times throughout the semester, ask you to take a look at somebody else's scrapbook, or if I'm looking through them and I see somebody has a very interesting link, I might direct everybody like, hey, go look at so-and-so's scrapbook. They have a really interesting link about, surveillance and identity or whatever. But I would like you to post your link no later than Sunday, June 3rd. So that gives you a little bit of time to kind of, mess around with what type of platform you want to use and actually set it up and post it. All right. So your scrapbook should include a cross-section of materials from a wide variety of media sources. So when I say 20 sources, you're not finding 20 academic journal articles. You can find a journal article, but you're not limited to that. You have a bunch of different options. You can do social feeds, articles, tabloids, local and national newspapers, entertainment websites, videos, images, memes, whatever. But really thinking about how surveillance is at play like in the world around us. So as you gather materials, strive for variety. I encourage you to, if you find a video, challenge yourself to also find a newspaper article. Or if you find an academic article, think if you can find a meme, try to see if you can get a bunch of different ideas from surveillance from different media outlets. Remember, we're looking to make connections across various ideas from this semester, and your scrapbook should reflect that goal. You are required to find 4 artifacts for each theme, as I mentioned earlier. So don't wait to the last minute to find all 20 artifacts. It's going to be a lot to try to find them all at once. Now, I know I've been there, trying to do an assignment at the last minute, so I know it's not impossible, but I encourage you not to wait. Please note, however, that you can't use links that we directly discuss in class. Sometimes I have videos or whatever for us to read. You can't use those in your scrapbook. Additionally, clearly label or tag each link with the name of the part to which it corresponds. So you might, if you post it, you might, tag it with surveillance identity or surveillance ethic. However you want to name it, doesn't matter to me. Those are just some examples I just randomly came up with. It'll just help you keep track of how many. You're like, okay, good, I've got 4 for ethics, I got 4 for this other category. And it'll help me as I'm grading them to actually make sure you have the correct number and there's no confusion about what goes in what category. All right, so at the end of the semester, you will examine your collection and write an analytical reflection. This analytical reflection will explain the patterns or anomalies about the examples you've selected, as well as draw conclusions about the significance of these examples taken as a whole. Your analytical reflection will also be posted on your site. So the only thing you're turning in for this assignment is a link. Even though you are posting that on Canvas on that Pages page, when you go to submit the assignment on June 30th, instead of uploading like a Word file, you're just going to submit the URL. And that'll make more sense when we get closer to it, and I'll be happy to talk about that again in a video later. Okay, and I should say, I have samples of this assignment. However, it is not for the theme of our course. I've done this in a different English 212 class when the theme was gender studies. So I do have examples of this assignment, but the examples that you'll be looking at are about a different topic. So you'll be like, what? I don't understand how that relates. It's the same assignment, different topic, but you'll be able to see how it's set up a little bit more clearly when I post those samples. Those samples aren't available yet. I haven't posted them yet, but I'll let you know when I do. All right, so you have an analytical reflection to do. As I mentioned, I talked about that. You examine your collection and write an analytical reflection. And what you're going to be doing in this is you're going to go through all the different examples that you found or the different artifacts that you found. And you're going to focus on text and images that kind of urge a particular way of thinking. Do you notice that there's a trend in the way some of the artifacts that you've selected? Do they kind of talk about surveillance in a very specific way? What is it? Look for the obvious messages as well as the hidden ones. Try to determine whether your selected text and images appeal to a traditional way of thinking about surveillance. Do they challenge it? Does it do both? A lot of you have a lot of questions about surveillance, as I've witnessed in your reflection questions, and those are great. That's a really good way to start thinking about these messages that surveillance, what surveillance does. Is it a privacy issue? Is it a safety issue? Is it something that makes you uncomfortable? These are ideas that really will help you kind of analyze these different artifacts that you're using. What story does it tell? How does it tell that story? What might somebody understand about surveillance just by glancing at the titles, by reading each piece in detail, or watching each video, or whatever? Your analytical reflection should not summarize the sources you included in your scrapbook. I want you to really dig in and see those themes, kind of see how they connect to each other. And then finally, you should also make specific reference to the and connections to our class discussions. And when I say discussions, I'm talking more about the reflections and the responses that you're doing in the discussion boards. So you might want to go back to some of the responses that you had throughout the semester and maybe pull some ideas of things that you mentioned to other people. Like if you had a reflection question and you responded to somebody and you thought they had a good idea, you might say, oh, you know what? This video I found kind of reminds me of what so-and-so said at the very beginning of the semester. And you could reference that. That's completely legitimate for this assignment. Even though you're posting your analytical reflection on your scrapbook, it must be written in essay format, including citations where necessary. You can always link to the specific artifact to which you're referring, but always include in-text citations. You should also include a works cited page at the end of your analytical reflection, noting the examples you discussed in it. So you don't have to have a works cited page. You don't have to, I should also say, you don't have to discuss all 20 artifacts in your analytical reflection. You can talk about, a very specific few. I would urge you to have at least one from each theme. That would be good. But talking about all 20 in that short amount of space is going to be a lot. So you want to really highlight which ones are the most important to you. And then only in your, let me try that again. In your works cited page, only list whichever examples or artifacts you discussed in the analytical reflection. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Questions, email me, let me know. All right, grading. As with the other assignments this semester, I'll be referring to the English 212 rubric, which is in the Files tab, when assessing your work, and I'll be specifically looking for connections between the links, class discussions, readings, and your personal insights for this assignment. So that's that big assignment. And I think once you look at the samples, again, those aren't posted yet. I'll let you know when they are, hopefully in the next week or so. I think it'll make more sense to you. But it does seem a little overwhelming at the moment. But what I encourage you to do right now is really just start maybe gathering information, kind of look through those 5 themes that are listed. And maybe in your social feeds, maybe you see some images in your Instagram feeds, or if you have a Facebook account, you see some different links there, and you might start saving some of those, or just really thinking about where do I see examples of surveillance? Have I seen an article? Have I watched a video? Things like that. Just kind of getting information about how they might link up to those different themes. I think that's a good way to start this assignment. If you have questions, as always, shoot me an email. Post in that discussions for, I said that again in the last video, the questions for Kim discussion board. Post it there, and we'll go from there. We'll keep talking about this. I'll mention this again in the weekly updates that follow, so this isn't the last time you'll hear about this assignment. Okay, this was a long video. Hope you made it to the end. I'll see you next time. This is the last video for the week, so woo, you made it. All right, bye. Where's the stop? There.